Hello, welcome to our final lecture on moral theories. So, we've looked at emotivism, relativism. I briefly talked to you about error theory and realism. And today we'll talk about deontology. And let me say something briefly about virtue theory. What is virtue theory? Well, virtue theory says that the right action and the wrong action is determined by what the virtuous person would or wouldn't do. So you have this virtuous person, and if a virtuous person would tell a lie in a specific situation, then that's the right thing to do in that situation. If a virtuous person would not tell a lie in a specific situation, then that's the right thing to do. That's the wrong thing to do in that situation. So virtue theory says that right or wrong is determined by the virtuous person, what they would or wouldn't do. We won't spend much time on that. It's a good theory that's had a lot of history in Aristotle, primarily Aristotle, Aquinas. In contemporary philosophy, it's had a bit of an uprising, but we're not going to spend much time on it. We'll look at deontology. So deontology is a theory by Immanuel Kant. It's not concerned with the consequences of actions. It's concerned with duty. Okay? So you have to figure out what is the thing that is your duty to do or your duty not to do. All right. So you do your duty, the thing that's your duty to do, even if it has bad consequences. So this is opposed to utilitarianism. Utilitarianism says the rightness or wrongness of an action is determined by the consequences. And deontology says rightness or wrongness of an action is determined by your duty, regardless of the consequences. So if it's your duty to tell the truth, even if it's going to hurt someone else's feelings, you need to tell the truth. And duties are unconditional. You should do your duty no matter what. So yeah, an example would be truth-telling. Even if someone's going to die, even if you need to, tell the truth in a situation where telling the truth would result in someone's death, deontology says you need to tell the truth in that situation. Morally speaking, you need to tell the truth. Okay, so duties are instances of the categorical imperative. In other words, what we could call the absolute command. Your actions or behaviors toward others should always be such that you would want everyone to act in the same manner. So how do you determine what your duty is? You ask something like, would you want everyone to act in the same manner? If the answer is no, then it's your duty not to do it. If the answer is yes, then it's your duty to do it. So telling the truth, take telling the truth as an example. This is something we would want everyone to do. So you ask, is it my duty to tell the truth? And so all you need to do is say, well, would I want everyone to also tell the truth? Would I want that to be a sort of universal rule? If your answer is, yeah, I want people to tell the truth. I want to know when someone's, I want to know what someone's thinking. I want to know the truth, even if it hurts, right? Then this is something that is your duty, because it's something that you would want everyone to do. You would want everyone to act in the same manner. What about lying? You're like, should I lie in this situation? Well, would I want everyone to go around lying all the time, right? And the answer is obviously, well, no. Then it's your duty not to lie. So the categorical imperative is that your actions and behaviors towards others should always be such that you would want everyone to act in that same manner. I mean, maybe this is a different way of putting like the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So there's a categorical imperative, and what your duty, what is your duty, what isn't your duty, is determined by your answer to the question in the categorical imperative. Would you want everyone to act in this way? So here's an objection to deontology. Deontology says we should do our duty no matter what, but sometimes our duties conflict so that we can't carry out both duties. All right, so if you should do your duty no matter what happens when you can't do both of two duties that you have? They conflict with each other. So consider Corrie ten Boom. Corrie ten Boom was a Christian lady during Nazi Germany who hid Jews in a secret room underneath her dining room table. Okay, so she had real-life examples of Nazis coming to her door and asking her, are you harboring any Jews? And she would say no. She would lie. You know, the Jews were right there in a secret room underneath her dining room table. The Nazis would ask her directly, are you harboring any Jews in this house? And she would say, no, I am not. What is the deontologist to do in such a situation? You have a duty to protect human life, but you also have a duty to tell the truth. And if our duties are absolute in that you never can go against your duty, morally speaking, then you can't fulfill both duties here. You either have to go against your duty to protect innocent life or go against your duty to tell the truth. So the deontologist has a problem here. What are they to do? It looks like this sort of view is unlivable. However, you can revise deontology. You could build in a hierarchy of duties. You can say, yeah, some duties are more important than others. So say you're comparing the duty to protect innocent lives and your duty to tell the truth. You're saying, well, like, I'm going to rank these duties. I'm going to place the duty to protect innocent lives as more important than the duty to tell the truth. Okay? Or you could do it the other way around. Duty to tell the truth is more important than your duty to protect innocent lives. So what you need to do is you figure out what all of your duties are, and then you need to rank them in order of importance. This is the most important, second most important, third most important, all the way to the least important duty. So with Corrie ten Boom, and I know she actually thought through this explicitly in the book The Hiding Place. She talks about it, that she decided that protecting the lives of the Jews was more important than truth-telling. And so she saw it as her duty to protect innocent lives over her duty to tell the truth. So here's one way the deontologist can respond. They just say, no, you have a hierarchy of duties, and you do the most important duties over the least important duties. And you haven't done anything wrong if you go against one duty, a lower duty, to fulfill a higher duty. Here's another objection to deontology. Deontology says that we should do our duty no matter what the consequence is. But what if doing our duty has terrible consequences? All right? So remember, consequentialism says that you should act in such a way as to maximize good consequences, the happiness of all those involved. But deontology says you do your duty no matter the consequences. So suppose you have a duty not to torture. What if torturing one person will save 10 million lives? What if torturing someone saves the planet from exploding? So 7 billion lives? Deontology says that we should do our duty no matter the consequences. So this duty not to torture in these situations has really bad consequences. Doesn't the consequences in this case matter for the rightness of the action? Deontology says, no, you do your duty, consequences, they don't matter. I guess another way of looking at this example is to say there's a conflict of duties, conflict between your duty to not torture and conflict between your duty to preserve lives. And you could just build in the hierarchy of duties option. All right, so that's deontology. It says you should do your duty no matter what, and regardless of the consequences. So it's directly opposed to utilitarianism, consequentialism.